new education, please let us know. Manish is there. And one joke apart from that, on the late, the teacher asked a student, why are you late today? The student was saying, I was obeying a signboard. The teacher asked, which signboard here? He told, college hai, drive slow. So he was driving slow, but our speaker Manish Bhai, I think will take a lead and we will conclude this session within a stipulated time. And I think he has thorough knowledge of the ETDS. I have gone through his presentation also. I think he will be enjoying. And I request Manish Bhai to take up the charge.
Thank you, Avinash, Vice President. Now, without further any delay, I request Jitendra Gandhi to kindly formally introduce today's speaker, Manish Bhai.
Thank you, Manishji. Vice President Shri Avinashji, Speaker of the Day Manish Dediaji. Vice President rightly said the definition of students. I am reminded of the definition or a quote by social thinker Alvin Toffler. He says, the illiterate of the 21st century is not one who is not able to read or write, but he is the one who is not able to learn, unlearn and relearn. And here we are in the process of learning. TDS जितना और कभी unlearn करना नहीं होता है, unlearning and relearning of the TDS provisions, we have ablished speaker Mr. Manish Dediaji, who is a fellow chartered accountant as very senior partner in JMT and Associates, working in direct taxation for last more than 15 years. He has presented papers on taxation in various forums, JB Nagar Study Circle, WHA Study Circle, Vasai branch and lot many other forums. He has assisted in compiling our WARC reference on the year-to-year basis after the budget publication is out and the referential annual is there. He is presently Deputy Convener of Direct Tax Committee at CBA CA Association, and he has been convener at CP Study Circle of WRC JB Nagar in the year 12-13. The study circle which has consistently for last 13 years been adjudged at the best study circle for the Mumbai, and we welcome you, sir, with all pleasure and expectations that our students will be highly benefited. And before I request you to deliver your presentation, I would request Avinashji to present a memento as our mark of love and respect to you, sir. Please.
Thank you, Jitendra Bhai, for long introduction, although we are behind schedule. And also thanks to Avinash ji, who has made my job little easy by making myself a student and part of all of you. I sincerely thank Manish Gadia, today's chairman, for inviting me, because this has given a very good insight after a long period. In any CA organization, normally TDS work is being done by juniors, and we now last 5-6 years not involved in day-to-day process. This has given me chance to be with my juniors for last 2 days when I was making this presentation and understand the efforts they are putting in this subject matter while actually delivering the work. With this short, Avinash ji has given me a timeline that I have to complete the job within the stipulated time of before 6 p.m. I will try to adhere with it. To understand this, let me understand the composition. We all are here to learn TDS. I am presuming so, but can I have some feedback? What is an idea, or are you all already doing articleships or starting just now? How is the composition? Yeah, all are doing articleship. All are aware about TDS? Yeah, part of our syllabus. Yeah? No? Great. Have experience, hand-on experiences? What is an expectation from today's lecture? Yeah, we all are students, so don't worry in giving replies. May it be wrong, right, doesn't matter. I remember my student days, I give sleepless nights to my teachers. So, not to worry. If I don't know, being here on this dais, I am not worried, because I am also a part of learning team now. Yeah, any expectations? Having problems in TDS written filing, done anything? No. Fine. I will, the presentation what I have created, basically I have been doing, what I have done is, we will take through the TDS provisions in the manner it is required for written filing, because the topic for today is written filing, revision and rectification. Written filing is much simpler, revision and rectification is more simpler than that. I don't know how many agrees with my view. Okay, so let's start to the subject. We'll spend some 10-15 minutes on understanding the basic structure of TDS, why it is there and what are the basic requirements, because this will lead to the written filing, how and why there are mistakes done or how the returns are to be filed, what are the things to be taken care of. Income Tax Act in 17B chapter has a recovery and collection mechanism by way of TDS. TDS per se is basically a tax which is collected or deducted based on TCS or TDS at the time of payment by the person on a specified type of services. TDS is basically a type of services and TCS is on the sell which he collects at the time of sell. So 100 rupees sell, he will collect 101 rupee, pay 1 rupee to government. In case of TDS, if I am making a payment, I have to pay 100 rupees, I will pay 99 rupees, let's assume 1% is the rate of TDS and 1 rupee is paid to the government. There are some 50 odd sections within this TDS chapter of 17B, right, starting right from 192 to 206 CA. These are the list of items which are covered. These are not the exhaustive list. It is example oriented and which are generally utilized by most of the firms. TDS on salary, dividend, interest, contract payments, winning of lottery, commission, rent, professional fees, immovable property very recently added, payment to non-resident, purchase of jewelry again recently added, sale of alcohol, liquor, forest, produce and scrap. Purchase of jewelry and sale of liquor or scrap is basically TCS and not TDS. Okay, if you feel I am fast, you can tell me. Any questions can be asked during the slides are going on. Don't wait till end so you don't forget those questions and others are benefited by that. TDS, my articles used to say it is TDS and somebody has quoted it is Ds basically: deduct tax, deposit tax, declare to government, declare to the person of whose tax has been deducted. It is as simple as that, no complexity. Timeline for deduction. For TDS on salary, I am presuming that we know the different categories of TDS. Basically, there is, under Income Tax Act, they have, for return filing mechanism, they have made that salary TDS a separate item, other than salary and non-resident as a separate item, non-resident TDS separate item, TCS a separate item, and then they have made, which is recently done, as immovable property, TDS on immovable property, separate item. Why separate? Because all of it has a very different peculiarities within it. Salary, the duty of employer is to deduct tax, as if he is an assessing officer of that salary person. Whereas in case of TDS other than salary, non-resident, the duty is to deduct X percentage of the value, gross value, which he needs to pay, and not he is not doing any assessment or calculating what will be his tax liability. So the nature is different, the details required are different, so the categories have been bifurcated. For non-resident, the more stringent clauses are there, it requires some CA certification, so TDS is worked in totally different mechanism. Hence it is been removed separately. TCS is again a different thing because it is not TDS, it is on sale items. So the details required are different. And in case of immovable property, there are various other problems relating to TDS, so they have kept it separately, dealt totally in different mechanism. Other than the last item, all of them would be done by a business entity, maybe individual or company, firm, anybody but business entity, whereas the last item may be non-business entities. So there are basic problems which will be faced for that particular case. We will discuss during our session. So coming back to the current slide, timeline for deduction. For TDS, the deduction is at the time of payment. For non-TDS salary, it is at the time of credit or payment. For non-resident, at the time of credit or payment, and for TDS on payment of compensation for acquisition of immovable property. Now this item which has been referred here is different from purchase of immovable property. This is on compulsory acquisition of property by government. On that, TDS is deducted as and when the payments are done, and not as and when there is a notification that this much money has to be given, because normally there is a time lag of not less than 2-3 years between the notification and actual disbursement. In case of salary, I am repeating again, it is only at the time of payment. So let's say you have accounted in your books salary on 31st March, pay in the month of October, requirement of deduction is in the month of October. Timeline for payment of tax. TDS on salary, in most of the cases earlier there were different timelines, but now they have synchronized all the timelines to one, that is 7th of the next month in which TDS has been deducted, except for the cases where you book a provisional entry as on 31st March, where you have an option to make payment till 30th of April. Otherwise, deduction is on payment is on 7th of the month, next month in which you deduct. Timeline for TDS and TCS returns, issuance of TDS certificate. TDS returns earlier, when it was, I do remember before the electronization has started, they had various periods. Few had monthly return filing, quarterly return filing, half yearly return filing, and all those things. But with the introduction of electronic e-TDS return filing, they have synchronized it to all quarterly return filing. So first quarter is on 30th of June, TDS return filing is on 15th of July, second quarter 30th of September, 15th October, 31st December, 15th Jan, 31st March, 15th May. TDS return you have filed the return, what is the date for issuance of TDS certificate? TDS certificate has to be issued within 15 days of last date of filing of return. So the dates would be 30th of July, October, November, January or 30th of May. In case of March, as the date of payment is till 30th of April, the return is to be filed before or on or before 15th May and certificate before 30th of May. If you see in the third column, I have written part A is to be given on 30th of July, 30th October, 30th November, and part A and B both are to be given on 30th of May. Now, have anybody seen TDS certificates or all of you have seen it? No. Few years, few no. TDS certificate basically contains the details in normal circumstances. There are two types of TDS certificates, 16 and 16A. 16 is for salary and 16A is for non-salary TDS. Now this basically contains the detail of how much is the amount paid by the person, paid to whom, what is the TDS which has been deducted, when it is paid to the government. But in case of salary, as I was saying, the employer becomes the assessing officer. He also needs to do a calculation of tax. What is his liability in case of salary or any other income which he disclosed to the employer, and he has to deduct all the taxes applicable on that. So up till first 3 quarters, he just give the information what is the amount paid to him and TDS deducted. Whereas in the last quarter, just like return filing, he has to actually prepare his computation of income and file along with this return of quarter 4 all the details of the salary income and the other income which has been disclosed to him. Make the assessment of tax, deduct tax and pay. So that additional information relating to the computation is part B. Otherwise everything comes into part A. For immovable property, the return and the challan is same. So the due date is, the TDS has to be given in 16B within 7 days of return filing. The due date for return filing in case of immovable property is 7th of next month, in which the TDS is deducted, and certificate to be given within 15 days. So if somebody has deducted a tax in month of March, he has to pay by 7th April and issue TDS certificate by 21st of April, irrespective of the above table. It is totally separately taken care. Penalties. What if you don't do? Non-deduction of TDS attracts 1%. What is non-deduction is, you are required to deduct a tax and you don't deduct, is non-deduction. Let's assume a case where there is 5,000 rupees interest paid to a person, whether TDS is required to be deducted? Yeah. No, yes. Don't know. Required to be deducted. Interest paid 5,000, 194A नहीं किया, option simple, नहीं करना. Salary income paid up till less than 2 lakhs rupees required to be deducted? No. So if it is not required to be deducted and not deducted is not a case. Here is a case of non-deduction where it is required to be deducted and not deducted. If you don't deduct, then the interest is 1% till the point of time you deduct, and this is per month or part of month. So even a day delay attracts 1% for that particular month. Late payment of TDS, you have deducted but not paid. So 1.5%, because now you are enjoying the benefit of that money. Till first case you did not have the money itself with you. Now you have the money, you are enjoying the benefits. So the rate of interest is higher. Then late payment, filing of TDS return, there is a fine of 200 per day. Late filing of TDS return, there is a penalty of 100 rupees separately. If you are a continuous defaulter, then the penalty is 10,000 to 1 lakh. Late issuance of TDS certificate, a huge problem, persists earlier to 26 AS. So they have a provision of 100 rupees per day. Late submission of lower rate certificate of 197A. Aware 197A certificate क्या होता है? फॉर्म 15G 15H सिर्फ वही दो होते हैं, वही होता है what I said, but in our normal language it is 15G 15H. Lower rate can be there is section 197 where you can go to approach the assessing officer and tell him to issue you a lower rate certificate, the rate which is lesser than the rate specified in the section. That is not covered here. What is covered here is 15G 15H. Now what do we understand by late submission of lower rate of certificate? It means that actually as per the rules, whatever form 15G 15H has been received by the person has to be submitted with commissioner within 7th of next month. If you don't submit to the commissioner, then this penalty is attracted. It is not between the person who is issuing the form and the person who is receiving the form. It is the submission with the commissioner. Why this penalty I have taken first? Normally this is the last slide. Because it has an impact while we are preparing the return. We have to take care that these things have been taken care and do a health check of our data before filing the return. And I am sure that people who are in this auditorium will not have to pay anything of this. Then we have, yeah.
Well, I have directed a TDS for in the month of May. It's supposed to be paid on 7th June. But I paid on 1st July. So I have to pay one month interest?
Yeah, 2 months. 2 months interest, because the interest, as I said, is per month or part of the month. So you are supposed to pay it on 7th of June. So June is the month, and you are supposed to pay, you have paid in July. So July is the month, part of the month. Even a day delay attracts full month's interest.
Not from due date to due date?
No, it is month or part.
Delay will be counted from the date of deduction.
No. Delay in what sense? Non-deduction or late? It is month or part of the month is irrelevant. The dates are irrelevant. The month what they consider is calendar month and not the month from the date of deduction or date of payment or the due date of the payment. They take calendar as a month. Unlike in, I think VAT has concept of actual due date to actual date of payment. Service tax also, I think number of days, but income tax across it is month or part of the month, and month is calendar month. Year is financial year.
Sir,
Yeah.
I am also a student.
Yeah, sir. I am also student. Don't worry.
So, no, suppose as in this case, as he said, that 7th of July is paid. Now, they don't know whether I am deducted or not. What they know is that I have paid late, right? There is no mechanism by which they know that whether I have deducted or not. They know that on what date I have paid.
Okay.
Suppose something was to be deducted by 7th of April.
Yeah.
As you want 30th of April.
Yeah.
And I have paid in July.
Yeah.
So according to you, with this provision, 1% should be levied.
We will take up when we are.
April.
We will take up
And
this
1.5% after
Yeah.
the due date.
We will take up this issue when we are going ahead.
Sure.
Park this question for some
No.
time. Good question. Okay. TDS rates have been specified. I will not go within the rates. We are not on deduction of TDS today. We are only on return filing. But the point what I want to make here is threshold limit. The question what I asked is that TDS required to be deducted for 5,000 of interest. There is a provision if 94A threshold limit has been given here, that 5,000 up till 5,000 TDS is not required to be deducted. So, or in case of banks paying interest, then up till 10,000 it is not required to be deducted. In this kind of scenarios, we have to test whether return is to be filed or not. So that is one. So I want to draw, basically there is a threshold limits available across the sections of TDS, below which no TDS, above which TDS is required to be deducted. And then types of return, as the categories are defined by department, they have a separate returns according to the category. TDS on salary 24, TDS on other than salary other than NR, that is non-resident, is 26Q. Then TDS for non-resident 27Q, TCS for 27, TCS returns are actually 27EQ. Immovable property is 26QB. Immovable property challan cum return is what is to be filed. So if you see below the type of challans, again 26QB appears. This is the only case where you have challan cum returns. Otherwise challans are separate and returns are separate to be for payment. Return preparation. Any queries till now? This makes me understand only either of the situation. None of the things have been understood, or everything is understood. I am presuming none of the things have been understood, as there is no voice from the audience, and I can pleasurely go ahead. Is it true? Anything? Any queries till now? Because this is basically a base. If you have understood this, you can file return much easily. You will do your necessary health check on the data before filling up the return and avoiding all the revisions and rectifications. TDS return preparation. From 2006, if I am not wrong, they have made TDS return compulsorily e-filing in phase-wise manner from company to individual. Everybody, as of date, everybody have to file TDS return in electronic form within the prescribed due date. And maintenance of the data is again the responsibility of the assessee and not of the department, for which you give a declaration in form 27A. What you need prerequisite is a software to make a return into, which can be uploaded into their database. Department is giving one good software called RPU 4.2 is the version. It also have a validation software called TDS FUB standalone 4.5 is the version, which you can download from the link which has been provided there. Basically a NSDL link. Then Java version 1.4.2 is required, which can be downloaded from java.com. Currently I think 1.7 is available or 1.8 is available on the website of Java, but higher versions are acceptable. CSI file is a challan information file which you require. Deductor basic details, that is the person who is deducting, his TAN number, address, person responsible detail, etc. Challan details which you have paid. TDS transaction details on which you have deducted TDS or not deducted TDS, and the TAN number, which is a key thing. Under eTDS regime or even in TDS regime, basically everything is linked to a TAN number. Unlike our normal income tax return, which is linked to a PAN number, all TDS related activities linked to a TAN number. TAN number has a peculiar nature like PAN number. Unlike PAN number, it is little different in the sense the making of TAN is first 4 are alphabets, then 5 are numeric, and then last is again an alphabet. Whereas in PAN it is first 5 are alpha, then 4 are numeric, and then last is in alpha. So we have to be careful while getting that information. Many a times it happens that 4th alphabet is O, taken as 0. You will have an error. So take care. Now the whole process of TDS, what we learned is basically you deduct, you pay to government by bank. Banks are required to upload all this information on NSDL website or in a OLTAS system, which is relevant for tax payments, from where they create this CSI file, what they call as Challan information file. This CSI file, what I am talking of, is basically an information uploaded by banks on your behalf that this particular TAN number for this particular nature of transaction, this is an amount which has been paid, which is again given in your returns while doing and system automatically cross tallies both to give a credit in 26 AS. Once you have set up all your software, have all your information, you will click RPU, executable file, and you will get a screen like this. Based on the type of transaction for which you want to file a return, you have to select the form. This we have discussed. 24, 26, 27 is applicable to what. So based on the type of transaction you will select. Post this, there is something called regular and correction option. You have to select either of the case. Now what is regular and what is correction? You file a original return. Anybody have filed income tax returns? Yes. In income tax return it asks whether it is original return or revised return. Yeah. Similarly, this is the software recent one which has been created earlier by TCS and then by Infosys continued. The software people tend to have different jargons to be used than the normal one. So they have used word regular and correction instead of original and revised. So for original, regular has to be selected. For revision, correction has to be selected. Once you do that, there will be a tab which will appear automatically to click, and a screen like this will appear before you. This screen basically have 3 tabs: form, chalan, annexure 1. Form is basically information relating to the person who is deducting the tax. Chalan is the information of chalans which you have been paid by that person, and in annexure 1 or deductive detail is the details where you have to give information relating to the transactions on which TDS has been deducted or not deducted. If you see, for quarter ended, the field is disabled. You have to first and select the financial year here. No sooner you select, this field will automatically get enabled. Then you select, you have to file return for which quarter, quarter 1, 2, 3 or 4. Write the year besides it and give other information. Until the time you do that, you cannot go to the other part of the return, that is chalan or annexure 1. TAN number, carefully enter. It is a non-editable field for the lifetime after the return is submitted. It requires particulars of deductor, name, address, etc. Very simple thing. In part 2, part 3, it requires name of person responsible for deducting tax. Any idea what is the difference between part 2 and part 3? No. Okay. In part 2, it asks the details of the person who is required to deduct, that is the details of the TAN relating to the TAN or the company, firm, individual, whatever. Whereas the person responsible for tax, deduction of tax, is something which a friction has been created. The responsibility is casted ultimately on a living being and not kept on the non-living entities. So in case of a company, we have seen that there are penalties in which I have not included prosecutions. So if company is to be prosecuted, how it will get prosecuted? बिल्डिंग को उठा के रख दो जेल में, नहीं हो सकता है. If I want to collect a tax from a company and nobody is responding, how can I do that? Not possible. So what they have done is they have created a friction for all non-living entities. They have given the list of people who will be responsible on behalf of those entities. In case of individual, individual is responsible. But in case of non-individual entities, who is the person responsible? and company or that particular entity can decide some other person by issuing a power of attorney in that person's name. That person's details have to be keyed in here. That is the importance. So tomorrow if there is any default, department is going to catch hold of that person whose name is appearing in item number 3 and not to the main company or any other person of that company. Normally, in case of company, director is the responsible person. In case of partnership firm, partners are responsible. In case of HUF, Karta is responsible. That are normal. Howsoever, by way of power of attorney, this responsibility can be shifted to some other person, CEO, CFO, CEO, depending on the company's choice. Most important, 2 more things here. Email ID and mobile number is compulsory, without which you cannot prepare the return at all. It will give an error. And there is something of blue box which I have created here, which has been introduced just recently, which says has regular statement of 24Q because the form selected is 24 been filed earlier. What has happened is that they have an analysis. Traces is a website where they are doing some analysis on TDS of various assesses, and they are finding that lot of people are filing return on a haphazard manner. That is, quarter 4 is filed for a particular year, and then quarter 2 is filed for the next year, 1 is missing, or maybe next year again quarter 4 is only filed. So to make aware, before issuing these penal clauses and prosecutions, they have started doing this. This will make you aware, okay, the last return what I have filed for my company was on X date. So is there any transaction between which I have forgot to file, or if there are no transactions? And there is a system within online system on Traces where if there are no TDS transactions or return is not required to be filed, please report there, so that no notices relating to non-filing will come. Now here a technical question may arise that the requirement is filed for earlier period. Earlier period means earlier quarter or any period. Law is part of our syllabus. Analyze. Pardon? Quarter. Earlier quarter. Any other view? Any period. So 2 disputes. Good. By any period means any period. 2 years, 5 years.
Not necessarily you have to file every quarter.
Yeah.
So if he has filed in the previous year, then you can enter that ERN number.
Yeah. Technically, if I go, the interpretation here is earlier period, and the earlier period means any period. And if you say no, it also gives an error message, not error message, a cautious message which says that if the return has been filed in earlier period, it will be treated as void, as good as not filed, and all penalties relating to non-filing can apply. So it is better to find out and give the information of whatever last return has been filed. May it be for any period, not only for the earlier quarter. And anyways it is not quarter. If they meant quarter, they would have written quarter. Just like they have given the quarter above, they would have used the same word below. They want to make aware that you are not filed for a particular period and you are aware about it. So that penal clauses, when they apply, you cannot take a opportunity saying that I was not aware that returns were not filed. So that option you do not have. To avoid that, they have created this thing. If you say yes, on the left hand side you have a column which will ask for the receipt number. Now a very great thing which happens with very small companies, they file once in a year, every 4th quarter only to be filed. Receipt मिलता नहीं है, मालूम नहीं है, what to do? Standard problem. For that they have created Traces, on which you can create your own login ID, and you have returns available, details relating to returns available from day 1. But unfortunate part of that system or the website is it has a very tedious security system, and unless until you know token number, you cannot approach that information of token number. So this was something not so bad during NSDL time. Yeah.
So the receipt number can be even put for the revised return like this I
Yeah, anything. It only asks for receipt number to correlate with the system that you are not fooling around with the things. Otherwise, it has no relevance. This is basic. The intention is not to collect receipt numbers. Intention is to make you aware that what is the returns which you have filed or not. So earlier there is on NSDL system also these receipt numbers are available. There is something called return status option of return status, from where you can find out what is the receipt number and what is the status, whether accepted or rejected or defaults have been created. Okay, once you enter these details, go to the next tab of Challan. You get something like this. You have to key in. Section code is disabled. This is a very recent change. Last 2 quarters back, I think this is a recent change which has been done. Earlier, our Challan do have details of section code for which we are making the payment, type of transactions covered for that payment. But that has been disabled here. You should not write anything. Then it is the basic details are required: TDS, surcharge, education cess, interest, fees, others. All these basic informations are there. While you are keying in data over here, data is automatically taken at normal rupees, and 00 will appear automatically. So need not key in 0.00, where many places it requires, but here it doesn't. In this return, across the return, it will not require to enter 0.00. You can just key in rupees and paisa will automatically become 00. Another feature of this is that copy, cut, paste are working in this software. But unfortunately, you will not be able to see that copy has happened or not. In the sense, when you do copy, Control C karega, so you will not find anything on the screen. But when you do Control V, it will give the end result ultimately. All this information which has been uploaded while filing the Challan has to be bifurcated. If there is no bifurcation in the Challan, do not bifurcate. If there is a bifurcation, please do bifurcation. From where you will get this? From the Challan. Simple. But unfortunately, the part of the Challan which comes back to us do not have any information. So you will have to tell company to save the original Challan given to the bankers. Then these are other information, additional information which are required to be given. BSR code. BSR code is a code which has been given to each branch of a bank by RBI, which is 7-digit.
Sir, paisa payments are possible in TDS?
Pardon?
Paisa payments is possible?
Yeah, I have seen that.
It appears in
Technically, it is not allowed,
yeah,
but it is possible. I have seen paisa payments.
paisa payments, but then in income tax return when you report, it doesn't allow you.
I understand, but it happens. You can do. Practically, the scenario is yes.
The payment.
Although there is a section which says that whenever you have to make a payment of a tax, it has to be in the nearest rupee. It cannot be in paisa.
Particularly from banks, it always comes in odd.
Paisa. Many bankers are doing that. If it is system based, now systems take care that rounding off to nearest rupee. But as long as manuals are concerned, yes, you do find paisa payments, specifically in interest, FDR interest cases. Yeah. BSR code is a 7-digit number. If the number is prefixed by 0, Excel will not show that. If the data is coming from the client in Excel format, Excel will not show prefix 0. So you have to add those additional zeros before pasting that data here. From Excel you can import and copy and paste it here directly. Date on which tax was deposited. If you see a Challan, there are 2 dates which appears on it. One is a tender date and one is deposit date. The tender date is date on which you give a check to the bankers, and deposit date is the date on which bankers ultimately remit to the government. what it asks here is date of deposit. So ultimately when the money has been transferred to the government. Let's assume a situation which is very common with State Bank of India. I do not have any issues in giving that name. You tender on day 1 and normally it is remitted on day 15, 10 to 15. Normally that is a standard time taken by them. So you tender on, let's say 25th of July. Deposit date will come in August. What will happen? Interest applicable for no fault of you. Luckily, this problem has been envisaged because this is an age-old problem, and originally this was problem with all the banks, which has been reduced to mostly 1 or 2 banks or sometimes some branches, because there is a notification which says that banks have to remit the same day all the payments to the government. So tender dates and deposit dates are same, but in case of SBI still I do find it normally difference is 10 to 15 days. In such a case, you write tender date as a date of deposit. Don't write actual date of deposit. Departmental website takes the data of tender date as well as deposit date, and it matches your challan information with both the dates. If it verifies either of the date, it will accept and not say the challan has been mismatched or payment is not valid. So use tender date in those cases. But if there is no issue relating to interest, do write deposit dates. Then challan serial number is a serial number generated by the bankers, which will be given. Whether TD is deposited by book entry or not, book entry is by journal entries, what we do, and payment is actual issue of check or NEFT, whatever. So in case of bankers, book entries may appear, which is also stopped now with the notification. They are also required to make an actual payment. But in government cases, still book entries are available. In normal circumstance for us, it will be always no. Interest to be allocated others. If there is any interest paid along with the challan, you have to report at 2 places. Earlier in column number 7, if you see on the screen column number 7, fees paid, that is late filing fees, if you have paid in column number 8 and others 0, and also in column number 20 and 21. Unless until you give the information in 20 and 21, no amount will be adjusted against interest, fees or penalty. So although you would have paid, according to departmental website, it will remain as extra payment, and they will issue a separate notice for interest or late filing, as the case may be. Then there is some column for minor head, 200 and 400 as the name suggests above. 200 is in case when you are paying on your own, and 400 when there is already an assessment order in your hand under section 200A. I think we have discussed all this. Then we go to annexure 1. Annexure 1, here you do 2 things. 1, you give details of the transaction on which TDS was required to be deducted, and also you give the information of challan under which the tax of the same has been paid. So first column which we see here is challan serial number. Now this challan serial number is the serial number in this particular sheet. If you see on the first item, serial number 1, 2, 3, 4 here. So these are the serial numbers which you have to say here and correlate against a particular challan. Let's say for 100 rupee challan serial number 1 in this particular case is having 55,000. How many deductees are adjusted? In this case you can see here some 53 deductees have been adjusted. You have to do an health check that the total of these 53 deductees TDS is not more than the challan amount. Otherwise, there will be a query of short payment. Under this particular annexure 1, they have said to give a section number under which we are deducting the tax. Earlier, around 2 quarters back, it was the reverse, as I said. In Challan you give the code number, and here you don't give it, it automatically fills in. The difference they have done reverse way, because there is a notification which again has been given by department that any Challan payment can be adjusted against any TDS deducted, irrespective of the section code. Irrespective of section code. So now you can have a Challan payment lump sum basis and then adjust against any of the section 94C, 94A, whatever. Matter of caution, if you are using different form, that is 24 and 26, have a different Challan for each of them. It will be difficult at the time of revision and rectification otherwise to adjust it. So matter of caution, it is not legally required, but matter of caution, have different Challans form wise. Serial number. This is a serial number. Under a particular Challan, how many deductees you are adjusting has to be serially, chronologically adjusted, starting from 1 till whatever number. The new Challan, again the serial number has to start from 1, because what they want to know is how many deductees are there for a particular Challan. So that's why there is a serial number. Then deductee reference number. Reference number is a number which can be generated within your own organization, that is company may have a unique number for each person, each vendor. So that number, if company wish, can add it in column number 12. It is an optional, not compulsory. Pen of deductee has to be a valid pen. Now valid pen means 5 plus 4 plus 1, that is 1. But the other part of it is that it should be again valid in the departmental database. Otherwise I can always have A1111 and A again. It will create the return, but you will ultimately get a notice that this is not a valid PAN number, so deduction has not been done properly. Name, you can enter the name of the vendor as it is, irrespective of the fact that the PAN may consider a different name. So normally, which happens in individual case, the name of the company will be registered and not of the vendor per se. Manish and company will be there registered with the vendor, you will write Manish and company is acceptable. Then date of payment or credit, whichever is earlier. Date of deduction, we had learned it should be payment or credit, whichever is earlier. Based on that you get an information, you file it. Amount you get from the party, TDS you get. Then there is column of surcharge and education cess. Earlier, prior to 2010, the rates of TDS were 10% in case of professional, 2% in case of contract. Over and above that, they were supposed to deduct education cess and surcharge as may be applicable. So it becomes TDS calculation, more of the monitoring with our current president, then finance minister has synchronized, liberalized, said no education cess, no surcharge to be deducted on TDS, you deduct on a gross rate, become easy and more compliant. Then you have total tax deposited. It asks for the amount of tax deposited. You have deducted 400 for example, but under a Challan number 1 you have paid only 300. Then you write 300 over here and you will get a notice of remaining 100 to be paid. Don't worry. But let's assume a case where under a Challan number 1 you have paid 300 and under Challan number 2 you have paid remaining 100. So what you will do? In normal circumstance we understand, we write TDS in item number 1 as 400 deducted, 300 paid. Again I will add up whole item saying 400 deducted, 100 paid. Total 400 paid. But unfortunately deducted figure will become 800. Mismatch. Accountants not allowed, balance sheet. It has to tally. So what you will have to do is split the transaction into two. Make the first transaction as 300 and the second transaction again as 100, balance part. Our balance sheet should always tally. Innovations done during exams. Okay. Then you have date of deduction. Now date of deduction is a date on which you deduct TDS. Irrespective of the law, there may be chances that you may deduct late. So you may report the necessary date on which you have deducted, and your date of payment will be from the date of deduction. So transaction entered in month of April, deducted in month of May, due date for payment will be 7th of June. The difference, as sir was pointing out, you were required to deduct in the month of April, you have deducted in month of May. So you will have to pay interest for 2 months, April as well as May. Do pay interest with the same challan. Otherwise you will have an assessment order with interest not paid and you will have to revise the return again. So in this case you will have to pay 2% interest, okay, for non-deduction period, and you pay it on time, so 1.5% is not leviable. So I hope I have answered it.
If I paid in July when I am supposed to pay on 30th April for crediting a bill to a supplier's account.
You credited in the month of April?
In the month of March.
In the month of
to pay by
30th of April, okay.
So by 30th April I should pay 1%.
Right,
I have not deducted. I have paid off my own. But I am supposed to recover from the party.
right,
I forgot to deduct.
right.
Right. So whether I will able to pay for 1.5% or 1%?
And when did you ultimately deduct?
I didn't deduct. I have yet to recover after July.
So you have not deducted but you have paid.
Paid.
So anyways you have to take a call on the item called deduction, because government says deduct and pay, don't pay otherwise. Government is very liberal in that sense. If you do not have money, please don't pay. In the sense you have not received the money from the other, don't pay. You have an option, you carry till next March if you are not received it, and pay non-deduction interest of 1%. It is allowed.
But
Till then, not required. But in your case, let's say you have paid it off.
So as you know,
You have paid it off.
due date of filing the return, I have to pay because I have to otherwise disallow
I
the
understand.
expense.
I understand. So, nonetheless, you have paid it in month of July. So you will have to say that I have deducted in month of July, because you have to fill this column called date of deduction. So you have to take that stand. Although you may not book an entry,
No.
but you will have to take a
Do
stand.
they charge 1% or 1.5%?
Wait. The conceptual clarity has to be there. So it is not only for this particular transaction. So what is important is you have to deduct in books of account, or you will have to decide on that particular date of deduction. Till the point of date of deduction, the interest will be charged for non-deduction, that is 1%. So if you say I have deducted for purpose of this return, if you say I have deducted on 31st March, then 1.5 will apply, because you have deducted, you have the money and you have not paid. But if you say I have in month of July you are filing this return, or maybe on 30th of September, before, just one day before you are want to file this return. So you say I have been deducting on 29th of September for purpose of this return. In such circumstance, till 29th of September it is non-deduction interest 1%. Post that it will be, since you have decided the date of deduction and still if you are not paying, then 1.5%.
So date of payment will be date of deduction for me in this case.
Maybe in date of,
In this case.
yeah, possible, but that is a call which you have to take.
Yes.
In many of the cases we have calculated to show TDS as 31st March, depending when you have actually paid the amount. If you have paid in May, we have found more beneficial to do it at what you call 31st March deduction date. It attracts 1.5 and not 2%. Otherwise you will have attraction of 2%. March deduction was there, March whole month interest, April whole month interest, May whole month interest. 3 months, 3%. 30th September, April was the due date, you have not paid, 1 month delay, pay 1.5, be happy. So do little calculation. If the amounts are big. Otherwise, standard thumb rule, till date of deduction, whatever you decide, 1%, post that 1.5. Then once you have decided on date of deduction, matter is over. Most only it will be the same as date of credit as per the law. You can do copy paste here, so need not retype it. DDMM YY has to be compulsory, otherwise it will give an error. For a moment we skip 26 column, then go to 27th. It says 01 for company, 02 for other than company, because earlier the rates were different in both the circumstances. Now the rates are same. But we have to be careful while selecting 01 or 02. So in case there are change in rates in future and the rates are different, it will select the higher rate, either the section rate or the code rate based on the facts. But it will select the higher one, and the differential will be non-deduction or short deduction notice. Rate of tax also you will have to write on your own. If you get data in Excel, you can always do your formula based activity and can copy paste so that it is not made wrong. Even 0.01 difference in rate writing would give you a short deduction notice. I have seen notices of few rupees, 5-10 rupees also. So be careful here. Just see that these rates, whatever you mention, are not lesser than the rates prescribed in my table, because otherwise you will again give a short deduction unless until you have a short deduction or low deduction certificate under 197. If you have that certificate, you have to report in column number 30. Now column number 26, it says that remarks for non-deduction or low deduction, and it gives various ABCD. What are these ABCD? ABCD is basically this: when you have a low deduction or non-deduction being done, if it is normal, keep it blank. But otherwise, you will have to select based on the type. A is for 197, that is low rate TDS certificate received by the person and given to you. B if 15G or 15H has been received. C if there is no PAN and you are deducting at higher rate. There is a clause in income tax under TDS section which says that if PAN is not provided by the vendor, then you will have to deduct at 20% or the actual rate of that section, whichever is higher. So as of date, under normal resident payment other than salary, everywhere 20% is the highest. So 20% is the rate to be deducted. Again, this says that reminds me that PAN is compulsory field. You cannot keep blank. So in case where you do not have PAN, you will have to write PAN not ABBL is a short form of available. Then you have something called Y for below threshold limit, T for deductee transporter, and Z for payment to notified institutions. This clarifies, Y clarifies that if there are payments which are below threshold limit, if you remember I said that there is threshold limits in my TDS rate table. If there are below threshold limit, those transactions are also required to be reported. Now take a peculiar case, example that interest paid 5,000 below threshold limit, you have to report, and you have not taken PAN number of that party. What will happen? PAN number is a compulsory field, not required to deduct under the law. What is the scenario? What you will do? 20% deduction or no deduction? No deduction. The law is very clear on this. The section which says that PAN not obtained, 20% deduction, irrespective of the fact whatever is the rate of tax. So if the rate of tax is 0, still it is 20%. I am not required to deduct because of some provision of that, still not applicable, that overrides everything. So in case you do not have PAN for service transactions, you are in danger. You will have to deduct at 20%. No choice to that. Deductee transporter. Transporter, they have been given a special concession that if they mention their PAN number on the bill, invoice copy, then TDS will not be deducted, but you will have to report it here. transporter bill received, no PAN number, 20%. Annex 1 in return. Okay. Okay. Fine. The last line I skip for a moment. Yeah.
Like if suppose a particular section like 194 I have rent or whatever.
1,80,000 limit on bolo.
So in that like we are making payments to two parties.
Yeah.
In that we have one there is it is below threshold limit and the other we have to deduct the thing. And suppose if we have the PAN number as well and we have not deducted it at all for the one party which is below the threshold. So are we supposed to mention that in the TDS return?
Column Y.
So like we have to do it as per the tax audit new provision which has come for the GCD clause 24. That way we are supposed to fill the details.
They have made very easy. They said take it from return because return is supposed to be filed in this way. So they have picked up from here. It is not the reverse way. It is not the reverse way. It is only that we are not reporting under TDS clause. Okay. In case of salary, as I have discussed, part B is there which you need to report. As becoming an assessing officer, these are the details which you are required to reporting. Serial number is a standard serial number, PAN number compulsory, a valid PAN number. If it is, even if your salary is less than 2 lakhs and PAN number is not there, 20% deduction. Name of the person, deductee type, because based on the type the rates are calculated by the system when it is uploaded and assessment is done. Dates are not relevant much, but you need to key in taxable amount given by the employer. Then it says that report taxable amount from the previous employer if reported by the employee, not compulsory to report by the employee. But if it is reported, then you have to take into consideration for his computation of tax. Then 16.2, I have not seen in my life 16.2 by claim by anybody, entertainment allowance, and 16.3 is profession tax, which information will flow from salary department. Then item number 15, column number 15, which says income including losses of house property. There are few additional incomes which can be disclosed by the employee. Except for house property, no other loss income can be included, but profit income can be included. So you have income from other source which is positive can be included. If you have income from business which is positive can be included, but if it is loss should not be included. Except for house property loss, no other loss can be included. Then you have ATC deductions which you will be giving. Take care, do your health check that it does not exceeds the limits specified in various sections, otherwise there will be short deduction issues. Chapter 6, then column number 23 is tax, total tax on income, surcharge, education cess, if I am not missed anything. Column 23 is total income, surcharge, education cess. Here your surcharge and education cess will be utilized because you become an assessing officer. Then education cess, income, relief, if you have any relief has to be given under 89. Then TDS deducted by the employer. Also you have to give information of TDS deducted by the earlier employer, because in computation you have to take cognizance of income as well as TDS both, so that no standard deduction, what we say minimum criteria of 2 lakhs rupees is availed once and he is not bound to further pay any tax. That is the reason why it has been given. And the last column, higher rate of tax if PAN number not available. You have to say yes or no. If you say no but you have deducted, still you will have a short deduction notice. So be careful. After doing all this, there is something called save. Keep on saving the data as and when you are filling up right from form. Once you fill it up, you start doing your saving activity, and then after doing saving, you have a create file option. Once you click create file, you will get a screen like this in between, where you have to give CSI file, that is a challan information file, to be downloaded from tin.nsdl.com, and you have to give the location where you want the error report. There are certain checks which software itself does, like PAN number are not in 5 plus 4 plus 1, or 10 number not in 4 plus 5 plus 1, or basic data 01 and 02, instead of that you have written 03 as type code. Basic checks required which are not as per the standards given to the particular column, then it will give through an error. Otherwise it will not give an error, it will get uploaded and you will get a separate assessment order. Consolidated file is something which is required only in correction or revision of return. So once we consider do that, we will just go through it. After validation, once you give these two items, there is validate button which will automatically pop up and do validation. There are two parts, as I was saying, there are two software. One is RPU software and one is validation software. This is a screen for RPU software, and then it is automatically connected to a validation software which validate and generate form 27A. Now 27A is a verification which you give that data in a particular CD or a pen drive what you are giving to them has controlled figures of challan number, total number of deductee, total amount of challan, total amount of deduction, and so on and so forth. Also it is a declaration which says that the data in the NSDL database will be your duty to be stored as if and as and when required by the assessing officer. Till that point of time, the data is safe is a responsibility of the assessee. So sometimes due to security angle, you are not able to go to a validation utility directly. In such a circumstance, go to the location where you have downloaded your software. There will be a utility standalone FPU, TDS FPU, standalone version 4.5 currently available. So that is a validation utility. You will again get this screen. In this first item, you will have to select .txt file which is been generated. The second is challan, that is CSI file. Then there is error report where you want and validate it again. Till the time 27A is not generated from this software, the ultimate data is not made as per it required to be uploaded. Okay. TDS on purchase of immovable property. I will directly take you to the form. It is basically what happens is that these transactions are done by non-business entity, and there was a huge UN cry that for single transaction you will have to take 10 number. So department has waived off all these criteria. They said based on the PAN number of both the parties you can pay the tax as well as generate TDS certificate. The basic information required are PAN number of both, name and address of both the party, agreement detail, amount to be credited, paid, and rate of tax. These are the basic details which are required. The form is very simple, so I am skipping this. We go to revision, rectification. Any issues till now? No.
So when you have to enter the below threshold limit transaction, that we are not supposed to specify the challan details.
Zero. Challan amount 0. And it will accept. There are two types of corrections which are required.
So what would be the consequences of not reporting below threshold limit?
You are filing a wrong return. So penalty for giving a wrong return can apply. That is technical. Till date we have not seen any such prosecution, but just 3 days back they have given a whole chart to assessing officers how to go about for the prosecutions. They have given, I'm carrying in my bag, a lengthy procedure where they have said for transactions above 1 lakh this is the steps to be taken, and then start prosecution. For transactions between 25,000 to 1 lakh this is the process to be followed, and do prosecution, because they want to ultimately get rid of the fact that TDS is not reconciling. They want 100 rupee, if credit has been given by the industry, 100 rupee credit should go to all the people, which is not happening because of various mismatches of returns
On
being filed.
TDS is
I understand.
huge.
Huge. That is the case.
So,
Apart from, yeah.
one practical issue, like if some client is paying hail majority and all, so like they don't have PAN and like they are supposed to report even that transactions in the return. So then how is it supposed to be done?
20%.
Even for the hail majority they are supposed to do that.
How does it matter what is the type
So,
of
like,
transaction?
If the payments rate are of 100 rupees, 200 rupees to the normal party wala, like how will we deduct?
The solution lies with him. Don't report. Let's see what happens. But off the dais, of the official records, don't report those transactions. Under audit report also you need not report it if the returns are filed in time. Otherwise you will have to report that these transactions are not reported in return. But if you report, 20%. Okay, challan corrections, there can be errors at our end for filing the challan. These are the types of challan errors which can happen because these are the data what you fill in. 10 number wrongly entered, assessment year wrongly entered, total amount wrongly entered, major head, minor head wrongly entered, nature of payment wrongly entered, which can be rectified by the bank itself based on the time frame given over here. If it is not done by the bank for some reason or the time frame has crossed, assessing officer, TDS assessing officer, it is a separate cell in Churni Road, has all the powers to rectify all these things. Once these transactions are rectified and although you have some assessment order being passed, you will have to just file your return and then your demand will be nullified. For revision again softwares are required as well as consolidated file is required to be downloaded from traces. What is consolidated file is nothing but the file which contains all the transactions which have been reported by you time and over till the point of this revision what you want to do. So let's say you have filed original return, then again a revised return has been filed and then you are going back for another revision. It will have all the transactions of original return as well as revised return. Here you will have to select correction. For the first time there are two options. One on the right hand side which says import consolidated file and on the left side open save correction file. For the first time when you want to do correction you will have to say import consolidated file and it will ask for the consolidated file location and it get opened like this. And after opening this, use save button immediately, save the data. So next time you can use open a save correction file. If you want to do any changes on this page form relating to 10 information, you will have to say yes for update deductor detail and you can modify any data on this page except for 10. 10 is not modifiable. Then challan, if you have challan details to be updated, that is BSR code wrongly entered or some date of tender is wrongly for which they give mismatch information, you will have to say update. There is a column which says update mode of challan, that is it gives two options, update or it does not give delete. Okay, now it does not give anything recently, but earlier to it, it was giving update, delete and add. Addition is possible throughout, no problem. Insert button is available over there above. You can insert any number of additional challans, rows, etc. Update was possible earlier. Now update is possible only for challans which are mismatched with department website, traces website. If it is still mismatched, it is possible. Otherwise, not possible. Till then means the challans which are already matched, you can update only these two columns. Why? Because the credit of interest and fees will be given only and only if it is reported in these two columns, not otherwise. Although you have reported in the although you would have reported under column number 7 and 8, the credit will not be given unless until it is reported under 20 and 21. Then if the transactional details are to be modified relating to TDS details, they give an option of PAN update and update. PAN update means if your PAN is invalid and all other detail of the transaction row is proper, you can just do PAN update. It will allow only PAN field to be modified. If you have if you use update, except for PAN, every other thing will be allowed to modify. So let's say you have a scenario which you have PAN is also totally everything is wrong. Then what you will do? Simple. First update PAN, upload the return, ask for consolidated file, then update the balance detail. There is no other choice. Okay.
You can go for corrections and number of times.
Up till now, yes, but very soon you will have time limit for filing the correction return. Still you will have n number of times, but time limit will be coming. That is in process. So update based on the transactional details or based on the assessment details, whatever you need to do. You can update any field. I have selected update for item number 194C. You can change the section code or any of the field except for PAN because I have used update. Okay, I can fill in these remarks if at all not have been done. Annexure 2 gives only option of delete. It does not give any option of update. So what you can do is, if the data is wrongly entered, like in this case, it automatically give a red color that PAN number is wrong. When you import a correction file, consolidated file, it will automatically give this information if PAN is wrong. So I have to select delete and then go ahead and add additional. Insert row is always available and give the full detail of this particular person. These are the different types of corrections which we can do. Same process for creating the file, except the fact that here you will have to give consolidated file also in the here. In case of correction return, you will also have to give location of the consolidated file, item number 2. Otherwise the same process for creation of revised return. Again 27A, take it to NSDL or UTI, file it off. Currently some 40 rupees for transactions less than 100 has to be paid. Consolidated file and TDS certificate or justification report. There are three things which can be done from Traces website. Console file is compulsory, TDS certificate is also compulsory and justification report also compulsory from Traces now. Earlier you were allowed to issue TDS certificate manually or created from your software. Now it is not allowed. It is to be from departmental software of Traces. The link has been given of Traces website. For downloading consolidated file or TDS certificate or justification report. Justification report is a report basically which gives the information of assessment order of whatever is the assessment order, short deduction, short payment, interest, whatever. It gives the detail again which transaction, what has been they have assessed and resulted into a liability. You will have to do your registration first if not registered, and then you can go ahead. For registration you require token number, challan details and deductive detail of any one return which has been filed. Ideally the latest one. This is the receipt looks like when you file with NSDL, and blue is the token number which you will require. This is a standard security screen which will appear time and again on Traces website to extract any details. This is only a TDS part of whole TDS. You mention your token number over here. Then you mention a challan included in that particular return and the deductive PAN number and amount included in that very return, which has to tell. If it tells, it will, in case for registration, it will ask for another verification code, login ID and password. A link will be sent to your email ID that it has been activated. You can go in and log in. For any other cases, for like downloading of consolidated file, it will accept the request of consolidated file or justification report. It will accept the request for justification report. Once you log in, you get a screen like this. On the left hand side, you can see request for justification, request for consolidated file, or download forms. After going through the whole process of security, you can select the financial year. You will come to this when you select a console file, justification report, or form 16. You will come to this. It will ask for the base security, again token number, PAD, challan details, PAN number, everything, and it will come here. You have to give the financial year, quarter period, and the type of form for which you want to download, either consolidated file or justification report, or in case of TDS return, when you select, it will say form 16 or 16A. And this is the download section. It looks like this. It will appear here status, immediately it will appear in progress, and then once it is available for download, it will say available. There are passwords for the files which you will download. It are as follows: for form 16, the 10 number is the password. For consolidated file, it is 10 with request number. For justification report, it's very big, JR _ 10 number _ form 24 QO, means relevant form, quarter, and then financial year. This is an utility which has been given by department for out of the file which you have downloaded to generate into a file which is understandable in our normal day-to-day life. In case of form 16, you can generate it into PDF format along with DSC or without DSC. It's our choice. Using this utility, forms TCS form can be generated from this the second utility, and in case of justification report, that is the last utility has to be used. It will give it into Excel format which can be read. Otherwise, this format is text format which can be imported into Excel. This is the utility. When you open, looks like this. It will ask for the file of TXT file and the location where you want the Excel file. So revision is very simple, more simpler than making of return, because you have the data what is to be revised. First you take download justification report if you are revising based on the assessment order, and in any other cases you already have the details that this is what is to be added or this is what is to be rectified. So you can modify the details. Any queries on that? Yeah.
Default is generated only for the interest part. There is no short deduction, nothing is that except for the only for the interest. Do I need to rectify my download the consolidated file and rectify my return?
No.
Because I am not given party wise. The default is not party wise. They just say this is the interest for the lecture.
They do give in justification report. They also give party wise.
If I download it will give.
But anyways, apart from that, okay, that is one question I am parking right now. Any other query? If you don't have, I have a lot of queries, and I have been given authority that being a student, I can also learn. Okay, in case of assessment order, which will look like this, it's a part of challan correction module, online challan correction module, but still assessment order also looks like this, as long as from this portion, serial number 1 till serial number 5 looks absolutely the same. Okay, you have short payment, short deduction, interest payment, and then late filing fees. You will have anything in that. Justification report will have the details of the things. How to rectify this? If there is a short payment, how to rectify? If there is only interest payment which is required to be paid, how to rectify? Very simple. No? Now you tell us. Yes, sir. Okay, I have case study which says that there is a short payment of 5842. The original return was filed as given, except for the fact that update word TDS was 7303, which was filed. 91 rupees interest was shown in the original return. Total amount 7394. BSR code and so on so forth was given in annexure 1. The details as given on this screen was filed. I got a notice saying short payment of 5842. How to rectify this? Why there will be short payment? The short payment is, I think, would be, as I said, would be either for two reasons. Can be either for the challan is mismatched, the challan is overbooked. Let's say you have not done health check, the challan is overbooked. For 100 rupee challan, you have adjusted more than 100 rupees. That can be one reason. Second reason can be that PAN number is wrong, the differential tax will be there. Justification report download कर लिया, दो में से एक रीजन मिल गया मुझे, फिर क्या करने का? फिर ये करने का. I have already told, when there is an payment which is for more than one challan, which is done in more than one challan, I say I am accepting this, the short payment was because of overbooking, then it means I have to pay for the differential portion. I pay for the differential portion. Now for this very particular transaction, it means that I have paid in two challans. The thing which we learned, 400 paid in 300 and 100 format. So I will have to split my transaction into two and show it as it is, as I am showing in this particular screen. Just a caution or reminder that do pay interest along with this challan if you are accepting this to be paid. Otherwise there will be further assessment order saying that this is the interest still not paid. So you will have to revise the revised version. I hope clear. Let's say I am not accepting it. Why? Because the challan was not matched. There would be some error in the challan details which I would have entered, resulting into liability. So in that case, updation challan. I will use updation challan in rectification. Unfortunately, I also said that I cannot update any field. Did I say so? Yeah, I do remember. 20 and 21st field is only can be modified, otherwise not. The whole modification of challan has been taken over from revised return to an online revision of return. And online revision, by doing all these basic security checks, you can go to an online modification module. In default, you have something called request for correction, an option, request for correction, which will ultimately, where you have to go, say challan correction option. In this challan correction, you have to select the challans which are mismatched. You will get this kind of screen. Now this screen, you modify the things, whatever is required to be modified, and save. It will automatically get matched after some process, roughly around 2 working days or 3 working days, and your demand will be reduced accordingly. So if the challan mismatch is the case for short payment, I will do online rectification of challan, and if the payment, I have to do the payment which was due to overbooking, I will pay, split the transaction and file revised return. Case study 2, short deduction. Short deduction can be due to PAN invalid, rate wrongly entered, section code wrongly entered, rate and PAN mismatch is available. I have taken 3 examples. Section code 94J, rate I have written 1%. Second item, rate I have written 2% for personal. Fourth alphabet in the PAN number is P, where the rate is 1%. I have deducted at 1% in case of 194C. The rate is 1% for individuals, and other than individuals, the rate is 2%. So I have deducted at 1% but reported 2%. And in case of PAN invalid, the third case is PAN invalid, the rate of deduction is 1%. These are the errors which we will have to find out. What they will give is against a particular PAN number or a transaction, this is a short deduction made by you. After identifying this error, what is very simple, we have to go revise return, update option, update the section. So that's what I was saying, that while filing the original return itself, do an health check. That rate should match with the rate in the table. PAN should be a valid PAN. And so these are the two basic conceptual error. Under 94J I have writtenly wrong. So either 94J is wrong or 1% is wrong. Depending on the situation, if 94J is wrong, just update 94J to 94C. Matter is very simple, close it. If 94J is right but 1% is wrong, in that circumstance pay additional tax, split this entry into two as we had done in the earlier case 1, and file the revised return. So the solution is as given here. This is the first simplest solution. I am not accepting this, and rectification done. I rectify 94C or section code or and rate or the PAN number as applicable. If I am accepting, I will split entry. So update, split the entry, add into the other part. Case 3, interest on short payment, late deduction and payment. If you have done your original health check, this will not come. But if you have not done for some reasons, they will identify the date of deduction based on the transactional details you have filed, and they have given a certain interest. That interest either you accept or you reject. If you accept, pay the return tax, interest tax. Under interest column, report has to be in 20 and 21 column. You have to report that information, otherwise credit will not be available. Or I reject because I have given the basic information wrong. Let's say in this particular screen, the date of deduction I have given 710 was wrongly filled, resulting into interest. So I can modify, update that particular date. But if I accept that yes, I had deducted late or I have paid late, in that circumstance, pay additional challan. In challan field, challan module, you will add the additional challan details into interest, and in the column number 20 and 21 again you will show the interest. Minor head will be now 400 and not 200. While making the payment of challan also, you have to be very cautious that it has to be paid under regular assessment and not normally. So once you do that and upload, your demand against the interest will get nullified. Similar is the case for late filing fees or under 234E, 200 rupees per day issue. You pay additional fees, there is no choice because that date is cannot be modified by us. Date of filing cannot be modified by us. So there is no question that not acceptance. You paid additional tax, so report under other column, minor at 400, upload the return, your demand will be reduced to 0. Yes sir, now your query. Please repeat.
If I have got default statement only for the interest part, do I need to correct my...
Compulsory. Automatically it will not get. Now only option is that online also you can do this correction because it is relating to challan. So under, as we were looking at the other part, under a request for correction you can go, here you can say last item called add challan details. You can add that challan details and adjust against the demand. That option is available online also, and offline by filing a revised return is possible. There are a lot of helps available. If you Google on TDS, a lot of things will come. Apart from that, department have done a very good job. They have help in the software itself. If we see the software, RPU software, it has an help item. What basically it will give help is not how to fill the form, but it will give the basic information relating to columns, the restrictions or relating to the columns, how you have to fill in. help on website of income tax is available. E-tutorials on traces is very nice thing. One should always use that if there is any problem relating to filing of return or preparation of return, and FAQs are also available at NSDL site. Questions and thanks. I have a lot of questions, but anybody else also? So I take it again the same way, that either understood, not understood, be happy. Great. My partner always says, don't trouble the trouble till trouble troubles you. So that is how we should be. Thanks anyways for giving me a patient hearing and somewhat lively session by our sir. Thank you very much.
Friends, for your knowledge, there is a Dastur essay competition. For the essay competition, you can note it down, please. Take a piece of paper and note it down. If you want to participate in this essay competition, there should be a reason. The reason is, you will get a prize. First prize is of 10,000, second prize is of 7,500, and third prize is of 5,000. Now what you have to do is, these are the 3 topics on which you can write an essay. 10 challenges to be tackled by Prime Minister is the first topic. 10 challenges to be tackled by Prime Minister. Second topic is judicial activism. Judicial activism. Third topic is social sites or apps kills or builds the relationship. Right. Now note down email address ctcassay ESSAY no space bar anywhere ctcassay@gmail.com. By 15th February, you should give an email on this email address saying that you are willing to participate. That's all. With your contact info, your mobile number or landline number. Now you are given time till 28th February to write an essay. 13 days of time to write an essay and submit the same essay on the essay on the same email address, right? And maybe we will give you a reminder if the essay has not come to you, but most probably will not, because you have already told of your own that you will be writing an essay. Fine? Any queries?
Repeat the subtext for the man.
Yeah, sure. First topic is 10 challenges to be tackled by Prime Minister. Second topic is judicial activism. Third topic is social sites or apps kills or builds relationships. Is that okay? Now this pleasant task of giving vote of thanks. Given an option, to work on TDS software and file TDS returns or appear for CA exam again, I would opt for the later one. Because it's really tedious, as the speaker said, but he delivered a very interesting kind of presentation and given us very detailed information. In fact, he resolved my queries also, which I am finding it difficult to sort out, for which there is nothing less than a very loud and lingering loud of applause. Thank you, sir, and good night to everyone.